And joining us now here at the College Football Hall of Fame for SEC Media Days is a man who is certainly a part of a legendary defense. He is a man who is certainly not done with what he wants to accomplish, and he is a man who knows how to put an ensemble together. He is national champion and linebacker for the Georgia Bulldogs. Nolan Smith joining us here on the Fan 680 93.7 FM. I feel like I need a wardrobe change. I just put on a goat shirt. I need to go put on something with a little bit more thread count on it. You look pretty sharp, my man.
Man, thank you. I appreciate you. And, look good, feel good, play good. It's all good.
Well, you played well last year, and talk about just the whirlwind now that you have to put that to the side, but it is still something special what you guys were able to accomplish, particularly on defense, where not only did you guys have players, but you guys had discipline. And you had guys that worked hard, and you didn't have a bunch of guys just thinking they could just show up, be big, and just do whatever. You guys really deserve all the accolades in that championship you got.
Yeah, the one thing that I take from last year's team and last year's defense is no egos. When you get egos out the way and guys not worrying about the wrong things and start worrying about the right things, that's when you turn the corner. And I think with Coach Smart being able to do that and focus and get guys to all pull the rope in the right direction, then that's when you become great teams.
Do you have to do that to some of the youngsters coming in? Just go ahead and give them a dose of that kind of humility? Is there a lot of that you have to do, or just one or two, or not much at all?
I think it's one or two, but you know how you come in and you read all your press clippings and you think you're a 5-star and this and that. I tell them, I had to watch somebody in front of me do it, and you may have to as well, or you may get to come in and start day one, But either way, you have to prove yourself day in and day out.
We asked Stetson Bennett when he started to think about being a college player, and he said it wasn't something that drove him. It wasn't like he wasn't that 8-year-old kid saying, I got to play college football. 10 years old, I got to play college football. What's your story in that regard?
Oh, man, I was 4 years old. I started playing college football when I was 4, and that driven me to be able to go to college and being able to get a degree. A lot of people in my family didn't go to college and was able to afford a degree, and that's one thing that I tell guys now, don't take for granted that piece of paper that no one ever can take from you.
Did Coach Smart change it all over last year from where he started once you got to the end of camp and the season started to where you guys were? Did everything stay the same, or did he kind of go with the ebbs and flows and change anything from coaching style to practices to just his demeanor at all throughout the course of the season?
I'll say the one coaching style that I don't think it changed, but the one thing that stays consistent is he's challenging us. He challenges you every day, because if you're not getting challenged, then you can't get better. And he just wants to make sure we're taking a step in the right direction, even if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You never stay the same. You're either getting better or getting worse. And I think that's what he instilled in our minds and in our team.
Do you win a national championship if you don't lose the SEC championship game?
Oh, man, I don't know the answer to that question, but it's, you got to go through pain to get the glory.
So it did signal a change, and certainly
motivating
at least.
It was motivating. It was motivating 100%. Some guys, took it in, and I took it. It hurt me. A lot of people see me crying, and it's just not because I lost the game. It's because we put so much into it. I pour my heart into every snap that I play, and that it just didn't go my way, and I just was hurt because I just felt like, things didn't happen. But Coach Smart gets us going, and he was able to make us bounce back for the next game, and we were thinking about the next game after that. So,
we were talking about expectations and goals, and it's easy to talk about the big one. Go to the SEC championship game. You write it on a board. But the Wednesday of practice, the Thursday of practice, it was a good practice. It wasn't. As a player after a little while, did I have a good practice? Did we as a group? What's it like to be a senior or a veteran player to pull a young guy aside and say, we got to be better tomorrow? I mean, and because it's not coming from a coach at that point. When you have the ability to walk up on a guy, doesn't matter how many stars he has, it's over. That's a high school thing. You have to let him know that in college, we don't win on Saturday unless we win Wednesday. We don't win on Saturday unless we win Thursday. Is that part of what happens when you get a little bit older and have a little bit more say?
Yeah, you try to tell the guys that, you win Saturdays by the work that you put in Monday through Friday. Saturday's just not one because you wake up and turn a flip of a switch. That's not how college football is, because everyone's talented now and everyone's watching film. What are you doing to set yourself separate? Is it the extra treatment? Is it getting in the cold tub? Is it taking care of your body, because you're ultimately investing in yourself now?
Do you know when it happened for you, when high school is gone? I know they say that, but some guys walk in, hey, look at me, I knock people into the dirt my whole high school career. How quickly guys put that aside to get ready to be college football players is a really big thing now.
Yeah, I say it happened for me my freshman year. So, man, my freshman, I graduated early, and that's when you graduate early, you go straight into winter workouts. Well, no one told me about that. No one told me. I thought we didn't start football till the spring. I was sadly mistaken. I was throwing up the first workout we had, and I remember me and Kobe sitting in our lockers just looking at each other like, man, this ain't college. I want to go home.
Hold it. Did you really have that?
Yeah, like guys really like have the point where you hit and you just be like, college is hard. Like you go to class, you work out, and they demand so much of you and then you want to be great as well. So you're not doing anything half tail, and from getting up in the morning, going to your ranking session and thinking about, okay, I got to get this play right. I got to do this right. I got to think about this and that. And eventually you have to put that aside and be like, no, I'm not a 5-star. I'm not the number one player in the nation. I'm not the number one running back in the nation. Because if you think about all that, you can't think about the forward.
There was a college basketball coach who said, they all come in thinking they're in shape. They're in high school shape. They don't know what college shape is. And that's the example of, if it hits you early, some guys get mentally out of it, other guys get mentally tougher because of it. And now that you got a national championship and expectations are what they are, it's going to get weeded out pretty quick if you really want to be there.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, you have to want it, and then you understand. Then that's when we start getting into what Coach Smart was talking to us about in the school sessions. You becoming to know someone's why and why they play football. Why are we all here? And I think that builds the connection point.
You said you started at 4. Was there ever that moment when other parents were a little bit complaining? Were you hitting kids? Like, were you a little bit bigger? Were you one of those kids who...
I wouldn't say I was a little bit bigger, but you can tell that I had contact courage at an early age. So running full speed into like being 6 and running full speed into a kid, they're going to flinch up. And I wasn't like that.
Tell that Smith guy to get off my baby.
Yeah, or check his birth certificate or stuff like that. And it's just because you have contact courage. And once you learn that at an early age, I think you could be a great football player.
There was a college coach who got in trouble when he was on our station and said, oh, no, I got guys who run 4.5. They hit at 4.9. What that meant is there's a little bit of a pull-up. He said certain guys, they run 4.5, they hit you 4.5. And that's not everybody.
Yeah, you still see it today. Like, you get certain wide receivers or DBs, they don't want no part of what's going on in the trenches. They want to play wide receiver and DB, and then you get other wide receivers like George Pickens. When I played him at Hoover, Alabama, he was coming down and chipping me before I got to my rush. And I used to tell George, I'll never forget that. I'm like, you pissing me off because you're messing up my pass rush.
Nolan Smith, Georgia linebacker, joining us here on The Fan at SEC Media Days here on The Fan. What do you think the defense is going to be? I mean, you guys are giving up 6 points a game. If you gave up 10 more points, you'd still be an elite defense. If you gave up 18 points a game, you'd be elite. But you did lose some veteran power. You lost some maturity, and you lost some dudes. What do you anticipate the defense being this year?
I think it's going to be young, and they're going to be ready. And like I was saying all day, they watch guys in front of them do it. So they watch Nakobe, they watch Quay Walker, and they watch them day in and day out and how they worked, how they went about in meetings to step into that role. I played behind Aziz for 2 years, and then I had to step in the role. And I just think that guys are ready. They just haven't had an opportunity to showcase their talent.
Last thing, are you aware of the fan base part of this? It had been a long time. Everybody before you guys had it here, it was 20 years, it was 26 years, it was 31 years since the University of Georgia won a national title. Do you feel and are you aware, or is it a little bit too much still, I'm on campus, what the outside world, how much celebration there was, how much sigh of relief there was, how much get that off our back there was? Are you in tune to that, or is it just because you're still sort of more around campus, not so much?
I wouldn't say I'm in tune with it just because I'm here another year and I got more work to do. And I think my ultimate goal of when I leave Georgia is how you want to be remembered, not what you did your junior year. What you did your senior year is how you remember.
To that point, sticking around, what's the pitch from players and from Coach Smart? You know, a lot of guys, I mean, y'all are going to have 5 stars all over the place. If they come out with 6 stars or 7 stars, y'all going to have those guys too. But, you know, guys having to wait and sometimes people transferring. What's the message from you, a players want a Natty, and Coach Smart, you think, stick around even if you don't get to come out and play your first time you step foot on the field?
The ultimate, if you want me to be real, I was number 1, 5-star, all of that stuff. But sticking around and being part of a program and feeling like you have a home and feeling like you can go sit down and talk to your coaches is always a good thing. And I tell them, you know, stick it out. You never know what happens. Just because you see another opportunity, the grass is not always green on the other side. You may go to that other place and transfer and then turn out the coach really isn't a good coach. And then you're in a worse situation than somewhere like offensive people. You have to go learn a whole new playbook. Defensive guys, you got to learn a whole new playbook instead of like me. I've been in my system for 4 years. I'm comfortable in my system. I can fly around at 100% and quote our defense like the back of my hand.
Yeah, well, run it back. You got an opportunity too. If you don't come back, you don't get a chance to run it back. So congratulations on last year. Looking forward to this year. And I'm just going to let you know the Georgia fan base does, in a big way, say thank you, because there is a pride now that you walk around with, especially beating Alabama, let's be honest. It got taken to another level, but it was 40 years of win. So you are absolutely a big part of that, and I know the fan base has a great appreciation for the work that all you guys put in.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
There he is, Nolan Smith, linebacker for the University of Georgia Bulldogs.